Yo, what's up, guys? It's the
Chicken.
Insane Game. Shut up, Richie. It's the Insane Game. Who the fuck is subscribing to the channel all of a sudden? I get notifications. Oh, that's Donnie.
Wait, no,
that's
subscribing
Donnie.
is a good thing.
No, that's Donnie hosting me. That's what happened. Fuck it.
Okay.
Love the Raichu.
It's fine. I need to change that one. It's fine. Well, it's fine. I appreciate the host anyway. Of all things considered. Anywho, this is the Insane Game Freak. Welcome. If you're watching this on the live stream, hey, what's up, guys? Thanks for joining the live stream. And if you're not watching on the live stream, join the fucking live stream. Follow in the Twitch in the description below, along with Tyrone and TSS's Twitter and Richie's Twitter and Katie's Twitter. Follow all of us. It's very easy and it's very simple. And guess what? It's free. But with that all being said, we have now made it to the 20s with our movie reviews. We're on movie 20. Woo!
Yeah.
And now we're in the alternate timeline, by the way, folks. We're
Yes,
no longer...
we are in AU.
All right. TSS, what is the Japanese title of the movie we're reviewing today?
Sure. It is Gekijoban Pocket Monster Kimi ni Kimeta. Or Pocket Monsters, the theatrical presentation. I choose you.
I think this is...
that was shorter than I
I'm about to say, this is probably one of the shortest movies.
Yeah, that was really short.
It's crazy.
Yes.
And then for those who are curious, what's the English translation? Pokemon the movie, I choose you.
It's so easy, even anyone can remember it.
Yeah, like literally,
So
you can't mess
easy.
this up. So that's what we're reviewing today. There's no point in getting into the characters because we're gonna do that in the review anyway. So we're not gonna. I usually would do for every generation is talk about the characters, but considering the characters are constantly switching this generation of films, there's no point in really discussing them further than just the review. So with all that being said, Tyrone, you have a job to do, don't you, sir?
Yes, I do.
And he's gonna talk about the movie's plot. So prepare yourself, grab yourself
Buckle
a cold
up.
one, and get some whiskey, cause this is gonna be fun. Go ahead, Tyrone.
Buckle the hell up. So in an alternate universe, Ash wakes up and he's actually watching a Pokemon battle. And the funny part is that two of the trainers that are fighting are actually in Pokemon, the first movie, or Pokemon movie 22. And they're battling each other. And with their starters, Ash is excited for being a Pokemon trainer because he gets his license tomorrow. He sleeps in. His alarm doesn't go off because he threw it, just like the same thing as the first episode. Basically, if you watch the first episode, this kind of follows the same consensus. Although Ash keeps falling down fucking steps. God damn it. Anyway,
As a young Gerald Ford.
Yeah, so once he finally,
I got that one.
Once he finally does make it to the lab, Professor Oak does tell him he's too late, just like last time. Only this time he's less sarcastic about it, which doesn't. That kind of bugs me. Anyway, we do also get to see the trainers who actually did get the Pokemon because they flash back to them. We know Gary got Squirtle. We don't see full faces of the other two trainers, but we do see like what they kind of look like. So I thought that was a nice touch. Anyway, after that, though, Pikachu's just sort of roaming around the lab rather than just being in its Pokeball at the start. Pikachu basically disobeys Ash. You know, we go through the same episode 1 stuff. Pikachu doesn't like Ash. Ash tries to catch a Pidgey. Ash ends up failing, throws a rock. Spearows get pissed, attack Ash. Ash tells Pikachu to get in the Pokeball. It won't do it. Pikachu does Thunderbolt, knocks away all the Spearow. Ash and Pikachu become friends. They see Ho-Oh. Ho-Oh drops a Rainbow Wing this time, and Ash doesn't see Misty. He just trips over a cliff, and that's how he winds up in that situation. Ash travels with Pikachu while they have the Rainbow Wing. They capture Caterpie. They battle Pokemon trainers. Ash battles Erica as his third gym leader. I don't know. It's a weird order. Gets the rainbow badge. When he goes to heal up his Pokemon, news comes about that there is an Entei roaming about. Ash goes to investigate along with the rest of the Pokemon trainers. Ash and Verity, a girl named Verity, they end up meeting each other. They try to catch the Entei, but things get sort of mixed up when Sorrel shows up. And I hate his name.
False start.
Yeah.
I thought you had an aneurysm.
Disqualified.
No, I was trying to figure his name as Sorrel. Yes, it's Sorrel. Sorrel shows up and he basically tells them to leave before it rains. Onyx shows up. Hilarity ensues. They wind up in a cave. And then Sorrel basically sees that Ash has a Charmander that was left out in the rain. They talk about their goals and aspirations. After that, they see Entei again. They leave out of the cave. And then after that, they end up seeing going on journeys together. They end up meeting up with Cross, which is a rival of Ash's, who basically abandoned the Charmander in the first place, saying that it was weak. After that, Ash brings Charmander on his team. They end up battling a bit more. Charmander evolves into Charmeleon. Charmeleon fights against Incineroar. Charmeleon loses against Incineroar and Cross, so he ends up getting its feelings hurt. Ash basically states that Pikachu could have won the fight, hurting Charmeleon's feelings. Ash's heart becomes dark, air quotes, which corrupts the Rainbow Wing. Apparently, when the Rainbow Wing's corrupted, Marshadow haunts you. Ash has a dream where he didn't know that Pokemon existed for a bit. He ends up meeting Pikachu. Ash wakes up, apologizes to everybody. Rainbow Wing restores itself. During the journey, Verity mentions her mother, but it's never touched upon. And then after that, they end up heading even further towards the Rainbow Plateau because they all want to meet Ho-Oh. Caterpie evolves like twice, turns into Butterfree, fights a Fearow, falls in love with the pink Butterfree, gets released. Then they head up towards the mountain some more. When they head up more towards the mountain, Cross suddenly has an interest in wanting to become the Rainbow Hero, so he steals the Rainbow Wing. They have a Pokemon battle. Charmeleon evolves into Charizard. Ash wins that battle. The Rainbow Wing's corrupted, though, because it's in the hands of someone with a dark heart. Apparently, Marshallow's a guide for the Rainbow Wing, but ends up making it worse. Huge battle ensues with Pikachu and Marshadow. Ash and Pikachu lose the damn fight. Then after that, all the Pokemon end up getting corrupted. Ash tries to defend Pikachu, tells Pikachu to go to Pokeball. Pikachu refuses. After all of that, Pikachu tries to defend Ash the same way he defended him against the Spearows, but it doesn't work because he's too weakened. Ash gets killed. Pikachu cries. All the Pokemon cry. Ash comes back to life. Marshadow just sort of goes away. I don't know what the fuck. And Bonji exists. He was there. He's exposition. And after that, all the Pokemon become good again. Ash returns back to normal. Ho-Oh shows up for the Rainbow Hero. Ash and Pikachu have a battle against Ho-Oh. Ash clearly loses the fight, and they get their Pokemon healed. Ash asks the others where they're gonna go. They said they're gonna follow their dreams. Ash just says, and then they all separate in different directions, and the movie basically ends.
I'm sorry, I didn't catch the beginning part of that.
All right, so
On our way to Viridian City.
In an alternate dimension, Ash.
Hey,
go
cut
ahead.
that shit out.
But yeah, it's over. That's it. That's the whole movie.
Over.
Thank you for watching the video, and as always, have a
Have an
nice day.
awesome day.
No, have a nice day.
Damn,
Wow, this really is an
Okay,
alternate
You
universe.
was doing like that shit.
I like how
Have a
KG's
nice
like,
day.
how the fuck did I get ripped off? I didn't even plan to be here.
No, that's the one reference to the video that I made shortly after the CN airing.
Yeah, and Orange Sword
wow.
just pointed it out. All the traveling companions Ash would have gotten are all in the credit sequence.
That's right.
Yeah,
Yeah.
pretty much. So I guess I don't know really how we're gonna. I mean, usually we free ball it. If it's our usual, and this is probably for the most part this is our usual crew. This is a very kind of. I think this is a very good case of trying to juggle a bunch of shit, and none of it's really pulled off amazingly well. None of it's terrible, but none
It's
of
just
it.
not A tier.
Oh, the movie looks beautiful. I'm gonna point that out right now. The positive.
I'm a little concerned when that's the first thing he talks about when it comes to positives.
It
Yeah, it
beautiful.
Yeah, it looks nice. It's a nice looking movie.
The thing about it is,
I'm not a huge fan of the character design for Ash specifically.
Oh.
I kind of wish
Would you have preferred Melt-to-Face?
It's kind of like what they did with Black and White, where they tried to make him look younger.
Alright, I guess not.
He has a Muppet mouth.
And I was kind
Muppet
of
mouth.
that's perfect. That's perfect for anime, though.
What is he, fucking Kermit the Frog?
Yay! Yay!
hey, you know what that means? That means I have to do an AMV now where he's singing. It ain't easy being green.
Well, I mean, you don't
Goddamn it.
have to.
Yeah,
he's doing it for the views.
because you gave me a fucking idea, so I have to do it.
Come on,
Pikachu.
Pikachu.
I like how I'm doing. Don't blame me for it.
Come on. Come on, Pikachu. Yay!
Oh God, we're not doing that. I'm
But
just
what are you
saying.
gonna say?
Yay, more
Pikachu.
Raichu. I love you.
Oh, see, thank you, Type Sad, for hosting.
Raichu.
I'm just saying, for me, I'm not a huge fan of his design because I feel like the best. I think in terms of recent iterations of Ash, I think his XY appearance is probably my most preferred of his modern looks. But man, I kind of miss his old. I miss like his Diamond and Pearl Hoenn looks. He just looks too young, and I know why he looks young. I don't know. It just doesn't. It doesn't sit well with me.
I don't know. XY Ash is my preferred.
I mean, his design. I like. I probably would say I like.
At
his
least in design.
Design. I like him a lot. But for me, I guess because the first time I watched this movie, just to give context, was accidentally because it happened to be streaming.
Definitely not planned.
Yeah, it happened to be streaming, and I didn't watch it with subtitles. I just watched it raw Japanese while talking to some cool people. I don't know who those people are, but they're fucking great.
They sound
They
like
sound
assholes.
awesome.
But
Sounded they actually gave a fuck about the stream.
damn. But yeah, I watched it that way, and I was kind of like confused by some of the shit that was going on. So this time I chose to watch it in the dub.
And you were still confused with what was going on.
Right?
Yeah, like I don't know. It feels like it's definitely alternate universe stuff, but it felt like they still wanted to throw in fan service for every other aspect. Like for example, when Verity, we find out that Verity's like second Pokemon's a Lapras of all things. Wonder what that's a reference to when they ride the Lapras in the river, or when she kisses the Pokeball before she throws it. I think is that Molly who does that from the third film. When
I thought Misty does that. She does that in
yeah,
the,
Misty does it too. It's a bunch of different references from other films.
Gen 1 pandering.
And other and from the rest of the series, Cross being pretty much Paul to a very lesser degree. Like it's realistically, this movie is supposed to be a fan service movie. In general, it's just one of the weirder ones I've seen. Like there are some that are just like, well, fuck it, we're just gonna do a bunch of references in this original story. Here it's like, well, we're gonna kind of retell a story and then mix a new story with it and then add some new elements from the new generation and throw in all these little nods to everything.
Some of it made sense, but the one I thought didn't make any sense, at least to me it didn't. Why have Entei, Raikou, Suicune if they don't do anything?
They don't do shit.
You know what I think this film was supposed to be? It was supposed to have them have a bigger focus, but then Marshadow decided to say, "I'm coming to steal your spotlight."
Which it kind of doesn't even do that effectively.
I feel like you could have had movie 20 without Marshadow. It would have just been literally the same thing.
I will say, though, despite my opinions on Marshadow, I have to compliment it for one particular scene within the film, if you know which one I'm talking about it. But that's the only part of it that I enjoyed.
What's the scene?
The Pokemon, like the world with no Pokemon.
Yes.
That school setting.
That was definitely one of my favorite scenes.
It's interesting because it's the first time we see Ash in a school a real school environment, Cinnamon, a school environment.
Yeah.
Okay, well here's my thing. I feel like you could have still had that sequence without Marshadow.
But who would have done it?
Though? No, it wouldn't have
made any sense.
No,
Marshadow corrupted Ash's.
No, because I would have just viewed it as a nightmare.
I mean, yeah, but it works better in context when it shows Marshadow's corrupting Ashes.
I'm not saying it doesn't. I'm just saying it's not one of those things I feel like Marshadow was 100% necessary for. I feel like
if anything, you could have done some bullshit reasoning where it's like the rainbow feather when it corrupts.
Yeah, like you could have came up with other reasons.
Well, the rainbow feather was already turning black when Ash was going to sleep.
As Tyrone's gonna rant about probably later, Marshadow's purpose here isn't really clear because
it still isn't. It still isn't.
Yeah, it really isn't. And I don't understand what the goal was. I feel like he was just there to cause unnecessary drama because it's towards the end of the film and we needed some sort of climax, I guess.
Yeah.
But like, what the fuck is he for? Like,
he was there to create conflict where there otherwise wasn't.
No, I mean like plot wise, what was the because the reasoning they gave is that he was supposed to fix shit if things got out of hand, and then it turned into I'm just gonna corrupt all the Pokemon with the feather in my hand and then cause a bunch of shit. How is that fixing things, Marshadow?
And then they made a part
killed
where
a
Ash.
Child.
Yeah.
For like 5 seconds. Also, worst Ash death. I hate. Stop doing this shit where you kill him and then like a second later, oh, I think he's coming back, guys. I see the twinkle and sparkle. This is also the
Yeah,
least.
we've been through this a lot already.
This is also like the least explained I've ever seen an Ash revival. The tears thing is stupid in the first movie, but at least it was something. Here, it literally he just shows up. He just shows up.
Wait a minute. What about the one from M14?
What was M14 again? Oh, when he wait. M14?
Yeah, when he froze to death.
That one made sense though, kind of.
I mean, yeah, it kind of did because he's in outer space. Like,
I wasn't.
Yeah, that was. I like that one though. That was the best.
I don't understand that I got shot with a hyper beam, so now I'm gonna fade away, and then I'm just gonna come back because I'm Ash Ketchum, and I
Like Ash's death didn't loom long enough for us to really
that's
get
not Fire
it.
Emblem works,
literally,
baby.
it was back to back. The two scenes are him dying and then him coming back, and then they try to make it this emotional scene. Now, granted, Pikachu crying is probably the best it's ever looked. Not saying that in a way that doesn't sound weird, that I want to see Pikachu cry all the time. I mean, but it looked great. I just don't understand. It doesn't mean much to me. It's kind of like the Serena thing I had an issue with in X and Y, where she cried after she lost like her first fucking. What's not a contest? What is it called?
Pokathlon.
Pokathlon. She cried at her first Pokathlon. I was like, I kind of don't care because you just started on this little quote unquote journey of yours. Like she had just came up with the idea that she wanted to do it, and then like her first contest she fucks up in a really weird way, and then they give her this really amazing looking crying scene.
Well, to be fair, I reviewed it, so I have a different opinion on it. I was gonna say, to be fair, she held herself pretty well right after it.
Well, that's the
and congratulated Shauna, and then she broke down later that night. But
yeah, the point I'm just making is it's that weird gap where it was like something bad happens and then immediately it's retcon. That's my issue. It just felt like it came out of nowhere, but
yeah, I can agree with that. It's like I kind of wish that like if Ash had died, Pikachu just has the hat and the rainbow wing, and then it's like, but it's black now because there's no Ash. But in the other dimension where Ash is like dead and everything's black and white, he still has the rainbow wing, and they both come together and put the rainbow wing in the area. It glows, and then Ash comes back.
I think he just should have been. Honestly, I think they need
like
to get away
Ash
from,
puts the rainbow wing where it belongs in the black and white like dimension area, while Pikachu takes it back in the real world. And they both do it around the same time. Like their bond is what brings him back.
Well, I'm gonna say this: one, if he was gonna die, he should have stayed dead longer, and two, just stop killing him. There's no point in killing him anymore. I think at this point he's gonna be revived more times than Goku. Like it's gotten
actually he is.
That's what I thought. I thought
Goku's
it was
died twice. Ash has died 3 times.
It's some of the most ridiculous shit. But to try to get kind of general thoughts, where the rest of you guys' head at with this film?
4 times if you count the Ghastly episode.
Move on, damn it.
Sorry.
So
Go ahead.
Yeah, because I've been kind of rambling for a bit. So, just what your guys' general thoughts and opinions are.
I think it's a good movie to watch if you're someone that's not very familiar with the franchise. Like you won't be the one like, oh, this doesn't make sense and stuff. Because I feel like the veterans will nitpick, and I'm not saying we're in the wrong here, but we'll be the dudes to nitpick because we understand the franchise. But I feel like for someone that's never really watched Pokemon, it'll just be like, oh, hey, this is a nice film. This is a different perspective from how I remembered it. So,
oh yeah, Pikachu talks. By the way, I forgot to mention that.
We'll address that later.
That threw me off when I saw it.
Right. Yeah, we'll talk about it later.
Richard, continue.
Yeah, we'll talk about that. Actually, there's not much to say. It's actually a good film, but I do agree that they try to juggle too much shit, and some things turned out to be pretty okay, and some others didn't make sense. So that's just how I look at the movie. It's really good for people who've never really been into the franchise and are just looking to come into it right now for some reason. But for veterans like us, it's a somewhat nice treat. But we could definitely see the holes of why this movie is very on and off. That's just how I look at it.
Well, I disagree with everything that you guys are saying.
Yeah, go ahead, TSS.
Shit.
I think the issue here is that you cannot look at this. You cannot look at this as a canon movie. You got to look at it as an alternate universe. And if you throw everything out and come on and look at this at a fresh perspective, a lot of the plot points do make sense.
So to be fair, Richie did say that we're veterans, so it's like it's harder for us to.
I mean, yeah, but
Also,
you have
thank
to,
you, Torreston, for following. Go ahead.
Ooh.
So, hello,
Nice.
thank you. Hello, please press the code number.
All right, anyways, continue.
So anyway, continuing on. No, what I'm saying is a lot of the plot points are vague because they want you to fill in the gaps yourself. I mean, it's like implied, like the whole thing with Cynthia and other things and Cynthia references and all that other stuff. If you don't look at this movie as a like a canon telling of Kanto, then it works because it has enough of meat in the plot to kind of hold everything together. Although for some people it might be by a few strings, but for me, I still enjoyed it. And then I know Tyrone has said. I mean, I know that Tyrone has said, oh, every time he watches the movie, it becomes less and less desirable to watch. I disagree with that because I think though it doesn't have it doesn't give me less of a value to watch it continuously and again, like I said during the live stream, I was enjoying it like the same way that I did in the theater and the same way that I watched in Japanese the first time, because I already watched the movie like 3 times now, and I still think it's very solid. It's not the best, but I'd still say it's better than some of the efforts that the canon Pokemon movies have taken, at least in terms of approach.
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah.
Okay. KG.
My whole take on this film is it's one of those films that I really enjoyed a lot at first, and just like Tia says, I still view this as its own separate thing, so I'm not gonna keep it as part of its own alternate universe. Obviously, it's its own storyline. With that being said, though, aside from that, I still felt that there were certain aspects of this film that were really weak, and I think it has something to do with them trying to incorporate so many different elements that really kind of just disappears and never really gets a proper answer to as you progress on through the film. It's one of those situations where it's like you enjoy it at first, and then when you start rewatching it again, you start noticing all the little missing points and whatnot. But my take on it, I'm slightly more positive on it than negative. I think there's a lot of things about this film that does better than worse, and this was a good first step for them in terms of trying to move into this alternate universe setting, because now you're trying to incorporate a storyline that many fans are familiar with and adding some additional twist to it. So, and I think this film also was very risky with some of their attempts in this film as well. They did some pretty dark theming in this film that I have to applaud them for, because sometimes in past films they never really go so far deep into some of the more horror elements, and I think ever since Alternate Universe happened, a lot of dark themings have also been incorporated into not just only the movie series but also into the anime as well within Sun and Moon. If you've watched Sun and Moon and you know about some of the more emotional stuff, it gets pretty dark really quickly. So I think this was like the start of the whole dark theming that they've been pushing in, and so I applaud them for really risking it with those kind of scenes. And if we were to talk about them, one of the flashbacks for one of the characters with their Pokemon, that got me, man. That hit me hard because you never got that sort of theme.
Yeah, I know
before.
what you're talking about.
Yeah, you never see something like that in past films. They never do it. In fact, they always just they like tease it, or they just briefly mention something, but they never actually show you that thing then and there.
That was some good shit.
Yeah, so that's my take on it. I really loved the film more than I dislike it. There are a lot of good things about this film that I can appreciate, and I think I'll break it down more when we get further into the discussions.
Okay, I think Tyrone, I'll let you go because I think I don't know. It's weird. I don't know if we align on this film, but I'm not I'm definitely not as positive. I think I was more positive when I started watching it than when I got towards the end, which is why I can kind of understand the sentiment of the more you watched it, the more kind of way you felt. But I'll let
because
you.
you
Yeah.
notice all the plot points.
But I'll let you give your opinion.
Yeah, because I feel like I'm on a certain scale here, and it's fair. It makes sense to everyone. I think one of the disadvantages that I think one of the things going against it on my end when I watch it, obviously, I watched the dub version, so that unfortunately is already at one point against it for me. I know that the Japanese version's better. Like I know that for fact. That's obvious.
Oh,
One of the
that's the one I
reasons being,
watched.
yeah, one of the reasons being is because the soundtrack. Be, which the soundtrack is really good in that one. Whereas here, the music does not really fit the situations at all, and if they tried to, they're not memorable enough for me to keep in my head. I don't remember one song from there, whereas in the original, effectively not only used the song from the original anime series, it also remixed them and enhanced them to fit the situation at hand, thus making for a better movie experience. So I can agree with TSS and KG on that sense. I can even agree with them on the touching the dark stuff, like not being good enough to meet your parents' standards. Verity's story never gets touched upon for real, but they do it. I can also understand the Luxray's death scene, where it's very dark, and if you and you know Pokemon will do anything for you, so you need to make sure you do anything for them. The message that's brought there. Unfortunately, the minute Sorrel talks about it, they get upset, they bring it up for a second, and then we just move on. The movie never takes the time to settle on anything to me enough for it to be like, oh, I felt that. Luxray's death is a big scene, obviously, in terms of like what Pokemon's willing to tackle, and I congratulate them for stepping up to focus on things like that. Where they've come close to Pokemon death in the old series, in the Indigo Plateau series, where Charmander almost died, which is why Sorrow gets so mad at Ash because he thought that he left it out in the rain. So I'm glad that they actually did take the time to touch upon these dark subjects. It's just unfortunately the movie does not have time to lament on them. Caterpie evolves twice in this movie in a span of like 30 minutes. And I don't get the chance to really like feel the emotional bond that Ash and Caterpie had because Caterpie became a Butterfree so quickly. It's not that the movie is bad. I'm not even saying that it's bad. I'm just annoyed by the fact that the movie tries to squeeze so much. If it followed its own original story from the gate instead of trying to tackle bullet points that the original series touched on, I think this would have been a much better film. So I'm judging it on that standpoint. I'm judging it on the standpoint that it's not a terrible film. Structurally, it's a good Pokemon movie. But as a movie watcher, someone who's watching the movie for the start to finish, the plot, the background, the settings, all of that, and then conglomerate it together, it doesn't hold its own because there's so many things that get touched on so lightly. So that is overall my feelings on the movie in itself, is that it doesn't it has a lot of great concepts and ideas that it touches on, but never commits to any of them, even at the end. And that's what bugs me.
Yeah, I kind of want to springboard off of that because I'm pretty sure there'll be a rebuttal on the other side. But I do want to I want to springboard because I feel very similar because I understand the idea that if I look at this as its own film, to me is the fair route and I would enjoy it more. But the problem with it is that the movie doesn't even want you to do that because the movie is constantly referencing and calling back to other aspects. And I understand it is an anniversary film. I mean,
Right.
it's the 20th film.
Yeah, it's a 20th movie.
At the same time, though, what hurts it is that having small little Easter eggs and references is fine. That's not what this movie is doing. This movie is not doing the subtle little Easter eggs. It's doing everything from the Easter eggs to like full out retelling some of the stories in the anime. Like, if it's like the movie wanted to half commit to the idea of being like a new story. Like, I kind of want to be a new iteration of Ash and a new iteration of like the Pokemon world but not really though, because I still want to reference things from the first season of the anime involving Ash and the Pokemon he catches. So what ends up hurting? It's like actually, I think Lightning said. I think someone said it in the chat that his two Variety and Sorrel both have cool backgrounds for characters. We don't have a character, I don't think, in the main anime series who has a bad relationship with their mother, the way Variety's story is kind of implied to be. And then Sorrel having this huge trauma at a young age of having a Pokemon die for him. And
Their
him
personalities complement Ash pretty well. I might add.
And Verity is actually a pretty cool character. She spites Ash. She gives Ash shit the minute they start fighting. She insults Ash. She calls him out on his flaws, but she still means well.
But the problem is that the movie, just like you were saying, Tyrone, doesn't give neither of them enough time. Like bringing the Luxray.
Oh no, I completely agree.
Yeah, like the Luxray death is sad, but it's not like it doesn't emotionally hit me
we gotta move on. We gotta find that rainbow wing.
Like think about it. Luxray was introduced in its backstory as it died. Like it wasn't like it was something still bothering Sorrel. So it's just kind of here's a little tidbit about him. That's really what it is. And then the thing with Variety's mother actually could have been used, and I think technically her story is continued in the credit scenes, I believe, where they show it. But it's just another one of those things where like some of the concepts are cool, like the thing with Cross and Incineroar and Charmander. The shit's cool, but once again, the movie doesn't want to double down on being completely original. That's why we got to reference Ash's Charmander in the original, in the canon universe. And I'm like, it sounds like going into the next film, they learned their lesson. So it isn't like this is a repeating issue. But as far as this film is concerned, it doesn't do it any favors. If anything, to me, it takes away from the experience. Because if I'm not a Pokemon fan, a lot of these scenes seem really random and rushed. If I am a Pokemon fan, I'm like, well, why the hell are you referencing all these things if this is a different interpretation? Just double down on being a new story.
Like, I took into account what Richie and TSS both said, because they are absolutely right. You should not approach this movie on the same backing that Ash Ketchum comes from in the original series that you knew of. If you do that, you're just going to get frustrated, and there's no point in that. But here's my problem with that. Ash's relationship with Pikachu in the whole episode 1 retelling lasts 9 minutes. I counted. That's not long enough for me to really feel sorry for what's happening in the story when Ash and Pikachu gets freaking assaulted by Spearows. Because we got here so quickly.
Well, to be fair, episode 1's thing lasted probably 12 minutes. So
they did
really, realistically,
better times to really lament on it.
Well, I mean, a difference of like 3 minutes isn't going to do anything. I mean, realistically, 9 minutes I think is enough to really drive that point, because realistically the only plot point that they missed was the whole the whole cheering and Shigeru thing, and that killed like 3-4 minutes anyway.
The Misty Spike, I guess.
Yeah, and that was only like 1 minute, like 1.5 minutes. It's like realistically, it's the same length of time to trying to tell that. So that's not a fair comparison.
Yeah, I guess but like with me, when I guess it's because in the original episode, when that happened, I guess there was more going on because, like Ash had the Pokedex telling him stuff. He failed to catch like 2 Pokemon. He was messing up, and Pikachu was openly insulting him because of his efforts. Ash felt bad for Pikachu for getting attacked by the Spearow, which lasted a little bit longer. And I don't know, it just added I know it's little stuff, but those little things sometimes build up.
Actually, you know what it is, Tyrone? It's the pacing. It's not that it's not that it's not long enough. I think what they did was fine, but the problem is it doesn't feel, how do I put it? It's not like badly paced, but it feels like it's rushed. And to be fair, it kind of is, because it's only supposed to be a very small portion. It's supposed to be a small portion of the film. So I get it, but like there are certain things that don't work well in a movie adaptation versus like an episode. I think that the setup for him works well as an episode, doesn't necessarily work that well as a film. Now, it's 9 minutes. At the end of the day, this to me, this is not going to be the defining moment. It's like, oh,
Nah.
9 minutes of the film. I'm not going to sit here and bring all that. Because, like, at the end of the day, that didn't really bother me. It's just that the movie feels scattered. The movie feels like it wants to do, like, 6 or 7 different things and never wants to commit. It just kind of wants to give you a taste. It's actually, you know what it is? It's a jack of all trades, master of none situation.
Yeah, I can agree with that. Which you know what? Weirdly, for this movie is kind of fitting, because none of this is me saying that the movie is bad per se, but for the setting that this movie is, it's a generation movie. Its job was to call out to pretty much a generations of Pokemon, not just the Kanto, although the Kanto region's what its template is based off of. It's supposed to tackle like Gen 7, Gen 2, Gen 3, Gen 4, Gen 5. There was little things in it. Hell, there's music from all 7 of the generations. So it was supposed to be a jack of all trades, master of none.
I don't think there was a Gen 6 representation.
That probably wasn't. But in that you create what I said before, way back in the past, you get a good Pokemon movie, but a bad movie, if that makes any sense.
Yeah, that sounds pretty, at least where I'm at mentally. It's not, because I would say I like the beginning of it more, the second viewing, than I did. But the second half, I also hate it more than I hated the first. Like, the first time I was just annoyed when I was watching it during the little watch party we were having. But when I doubled back on it and watched it today, I was like, man, this shit is... You know what? And I think that's really what it is. I think that ending, to me, is probably what hurts it the most. That latter end of the film really gets on my nerves, because that's when they rush the bye-bye Butterfree shit. Then they want to have the confrontation with Cross. Then they want to have the confrontation with Marshadow. Then they want Ash to die. Then they want to revive. Like, there's too much. It's too much shit. Some of which feels like it comes out of nowhere at the very end. And I actually think that's been a running thing with Pokemon films for a while. They keep fucking up that ending. Like, they maintain a level of consistency throughout the majority of the film. Then in that last 30 minutes, they start want to shoehorning shit in there because the other movies do it. Like have Ash have a fake death. Like, you know what they should actually, a cool way to subvert that is to have, instead of Ash dying again, is to have him find a clever way of surviving getting shot at. Like, something different.
Right.
Like, I just it trips me out when the movie wants to do all these other different ideas, but at the end of it, it still boils down to, it's just another Pokemon film. Another fake death, another fake revival, and
have Butterfree come in and use Protect, and Ash like, Butterfree, you came the fuck back.
Actually, you know what? Because that would have caught you off guard, wouldn't it?
Yeah.
You would have been like, damn, I didn't expect that. That's the kind of shit I'm cool with.
And also it would have been like an oh shit. It would have made me care about Butterfree more, first of all.
Also, fuck Team Rocket in this film.
Oh well, they don't matter. I completely forgot about talking about it.
They don't matter. Then again, no, alternate, it doesn't matter. It's just there for...
Yeah, they're just there for call-outs, cameos.
That's what makes it worse.
Actually,
you know what I wouldn't have...
There's so much of a non-factor, they don't hurt the score for me.
It's just more... I think I'm just tired of Team Rocket in their current form. Every time I see them in their current form, it gets on my nerves.
If anything, the only thing Team Rocket was probably responsible for was eating up like valuable time, but 30 seconds worth of time.
Well,
they didn't really
30 seconds is not gonna make a difference.
No, I mean every appearance they made was 30 seconds of just them existing.
Well, then that's like a few minutes.
Yeah.
Then.
So 5 minutes tops, which isn't terrible. I agree with Terrell. Like, the Team Rocket that they use is not the same Team Rocket that we love. The Team Rocket here is like, they make stupid rhymes and they don't even make puns. They just make rhymes.
Or maybe use the Kanto variations of them, where they were a lot more.
Yeah.
They were a lot more nefarious and like cocky in their schemes, whereas now
and they made low key adult jokes.
Well, I mean, that was the dub. That wasn't really the.
Yeah. Yeah.
That wasn't the Japanese.
I don't know.
version.
I remember watching Bill's Lighthouse recently because I watched that right after the movie, and the giant Dragonite shows up, and Jesse goes, "That's a big Pokemon," and James goes, "So size does matter."
Yeah, but then again, those poor
What the
kids.
fuck? I know, but
I
that's,
love it.
that's just the level of charm that Pokemon used to put in sometimes.
Well, the dub did, not the.
Well,
Yeah.
Then again, then again, when 4Kids did like the One Piece intro, the best part was Eric Stewart talking the first 30 seconds. That was it.
I know what you. I see what you did there.
Yeah,
I see what you did.
because somebody actually referenced that like 2 nights ago, and I was like, oh shit. But anyway,
The One Piece opening's pretty lit.
Yeah.
But
Lame.
I guess to get into some specifics, because let's talk about a few positives, because I actually do enjoy. I think.
Yeah.
I think. I don't know. how
Can
to
I
describe-
speak one positive though?
Go
Well,
ahead.
yeah,
yeah,
no,
yeah.
I mean, you and TSS are going to be running the show for the most part.
Oh, okay. Well, for the positives, let's talk about that music, man.
yes.
Go ahead.
That music.
Go
Okay, if you
for it.
watch the Japanese
soundtrack.
version, and hell, I would even give praise to the dub as well. I think this
No.
probably is. I think, in my opinion, this is Goldfarb's best soundtrack he has
Yeah,
ever produced.
I know you guys-
Unfortunately, yeah, that's
I know
actually
I know you
true.
guys are
Much,
down.
but it's true.
That's like
I'm
saying
just
the
saying,
shiny
I know
turd.
you guys are down on the dub, but honestly, I enjoyed the. I actually paid attention to the OST more than I thought I would in this.
I mean, it's
during
not
the
a
film.
terrible
I mean,
dub.
the thing is though, at least Goldfarb used real instruments.
I would say it's not
Yeah,
a
you can
terrible.
tell.
Piano.
You can tell.
It's not
Piano
a-
is
You
actually.
won't get that one
it's not
time.
it's not a completely terrible soundtrack. It's just I know that the Japanese one exists, and like that one's infinitely better.
Well,
Oh yeah, infinitely better. But
Yeah,
if
no
I'm
one's
just like to
disagreeing
push
that.
that aside,
Yeah.
I'm gonna say on the dub as its own sort of thing. I still think it's great. And hell, as Donnie mentions, there's silence in the movie.
Yes, I do like that. There was
For
silence.
real.
There was silence in the cave scene where they talk about the Pokemon and stuff. There's silence in that. I appreciate that.
Hmm. So I really have to applaud for the dub score for actually doing really good. There might be just like one track that I might have disliked for the entirety.
I
of
didn't
the
like the Marshadow battle theme.
That's
Yeah.
exactly
Or
the
the
one I
battle-
was
you can't
That
make
was
it.
or
terrible.
the cross battle theme.
Nah, he
Exactly.
couldn't
Yeah.
spell it.
Yeah, those
I
were
didn't like
terrible.
that. Terrible.
Didn't they use the Reggie trio when Ash fought Cross?
in the sub or in the original version. Yes.
Yeah, the original
Yes.
version. Yeah.
No,
Yeah.
the Reggie's battle was used against Charizard versus Incineroar in the fight.
Yeah, this is the battle against Cross.
Charmeleon.
No, when it evolved into
Oh,
Charizard,
oh.
that's when it came into
Oh.
that score. I
Yeah.
recall that because that's the Reggie themes is one of my favorite scores from the Pokemon anime series. So to see it got a remix in this film already put it to like 10,000 times better in itself. You know, I didn't
Yeah.
expect of all
Yeah.
themes from Hoenn, it would be the Reggie's theme, and I have to say they did a fantastic
It's the
job.
best
in that.
thing, man. Come on.
When Butterfree left and they used I can't remember what the original song is. TSS, you'll probably say
There are
it before
two
I do.
versions. Tears after. Something
Tears
about-
after, yeah, that one. Tears after the cloudy storm or whatever. That,
Whatever.
oh
That
my
was a
God.
great remix.
So good.
So
They
good.
extended them this time
good.
around.
Yes, they did. I think
and
they extended the song Prayer too.
they extended all of the versions of the songs, especially like at the very end of the film. You know, like whenever they usually play that one song at the end of every episode. That you know, when they have to always say their farewells and whatnot, they actually extended it for the film as well. I forgot the name of that song in particular, but point of the matter is they also did a full version of that one in here, and I couldn't be happier, man, because that means that's also going to be used in the anime sometime soon in the future too. But of course, the one thing I'm completely ignoring for both sides, for both the dub and sub, the movie theme songs. I could say right now, I still think the dub one as well is fantastic. I love the dub version of, I believe it's called I Choose You, if I'm correct. But my personal favorite till this day still is now I could say is the #1 best song from the Pokemon films, Oración. That song has,
That was beautiful.
that song has
Oración is
hit
beautiful.
me hard, man, because first of all, it is introducing or reintroducing one of my favorite artists who did the Jirachi movie theme song. She came back to do this particular version.
Hayashi.
Yes, and you could hear such a massive change in how she sings in this one, and it's absolutely phenomenal.
Well, to be fair, when she sang, Chisaki Mono, she was like 12.
Yeah, she was just
And-
like Just
Yeah,
I
and
mean, not
and
even a teen yet.
and she sounded better in this movie than she even did like 10 years prior.
Yeah, so
Because
she improved
yeah,
amazingly.
because even in her late teens, she lost a lot of her low range, which is kind of funny to think that, a woman actually losing her low range as she grows older. But she didn't sound as thin. I even say even compared to 2012, she sounds better in movie 20 in Arasion than she did even in like Pikachu the Live
Yeah,
from back then. So
so Oracion, I want to say, is my favorite song of all time from Pokemon anime films, and especially if you start paying attention to the subtitles that coincide with the song, it hits you in the strings, man. It's such a beautiful song. It's an Ash and Pikachu
and
song from
also
beginning
to
to end.
mention that Oracion is a basically a reorchestration of the movie 10 theme for Oracion, but this
Yeah,
time with actual lyrics. So if you
Yeah,
want to
so
actually
then, like,
remember
look
that.
at that. There's even another reference for DP right there. They
Yes.
referenced one of the biggest songs from the Darkrai movie when they brought
Yes.
back their world and all that from the darkness and whatnot. They used that particular song and made it a full-fledged version here with one of my personal favorite artists. So I couldn't be happier with this, and it made me extremely just downright happy. And
Yeah.
beautiful soundtrack for both sides, both dub and sub. I can applaud them, but if I was to choose, sub, the original.
Oracion. Yeah.
Yeah, so that's all I gotta say for the music side. There's a lot I can go further into, but it's all just simply songs that are referencing past songs that you've heard before,
Yeah.
and even like some additional new ones, of course. But for the most part, there are some that are completely nostalgic and hits you in all the sweet spots. There you go. That's my one positive I gotta say. So that's all I gotta say, really, for the music side.
Okay. Um, I guess one of the positives I'll give it is I think the beginning of it, like the first, I want to say the first hour, maybe the first 45 minutes, flows really well. The pacing was fast, but it didn't feel fast. Like in the grand scheme of things, it felt like it was consistent throughout the whole movie for the most part. Um, and I appreciate that because sometimes the fucking films tend to drag either in the beginning or in the middle. The ending's always a clusterfuck, but man, I appreciate when a film can maintain my attention the whole way through. Because that is sometimes is a miracle in itself, depending on the film. Um, like I said, I like the concepts of our partner characters. I still think they're underutilized, but I like the concepts they were going for with them. Cross, I'm not as keen on because he's essentially just a watered down Paul, so he doesn't hold a lot of weight for me. And I know it's alternate universe, but if I look at him by himself for his own merits, he's still not that interesting. Um, he comes off as that same old. It's all about power, but I think I'm tired of that argument with Ash in general. The whole friendship is you can gain. You can gain. I also thought he was being way too mean in that middle section right before the nightmare where he's like, Pikachu would have won that fight, and then later on when he's walking up the dang mountain with Pikachu, he's like, I should have picked Squirtle, and I'm like, that seems a little.
It seemed so out of character for someone who's always so positive.
Yeah.
Different.
I can see the
even for that version of Ash, it doesn't make sense.
I'm saying even for that version, that's the version that was introduced that I'm introduced to when I watched the movie. So it just sort of came out of like, yeah, all my Pokemon are my friends, and then 2 seconds later, Pikachu would have won that battle. Like, what?
It seems out of character. Like Ash's core personality. It doesn't sound like anything Ash, even that version of Ash, would say. Like it seemed like, well, we need to have.
It's a twist, and you like to have those twists once in a while.
I guess, but it didn't really.
Not with character development. You got to build up to that.
It felt like a means to an end. Like, oh, we need him to be by himself and have the nightmare. So how do we do it? Well, he has to lose the Battle of the Cross. Well, that problem I don't have an issue with. But we need to get him away from his friends. Well, we could have him throw a normal tantrum, but you know what? We're gonna have him say some weird,
I think
sideways
this would have
shit.
worked. I think this would have worked a lot better if Ash was getting frustrated during the fight, like slowly just
they won't do
losing it.
They also contradict themselves because remember one of the things, at least in the dub, he mentioned something along the lines of your Charmeleon's just recently evolved. He can't he's not used to its body yet.
Well, you also have to. Well,
But
I'm
the
gonna
problem is
butt
that
I'm gonna
happens
butt
again-
into here.
All right,
I'm gonna
go
butt
ahead.
into here and say that the dub script was actually translated like 99%. So realistically, it's the same script except for a couple of JCC isms, but
Okay.
the script is basically the same.
Yeah, I'm saying I know they're probably consistent with the script. It's still at that point you just gotta.
saying, I was just mentioning the contradiction is
Right.
that when he mentions, oh well, Charmeleon hasn't gotten used to its body yet, and then Charizard evolves in mid-fight.
And whoops Incineroar's ass.
Like it seemed inconsistent to me. And you know what? You know what it would have helped that scene is if Charmeleon had heard Ash. Like they make a comment like, "What if Charmeleon heard you?" And then he apologizes to the Pokeball. What if he was talking to Charmeleon? I think that would
Like, why did Charmeleon need to go in the Pokeball for that? For Ash to walk back and say that comment?
Yeah, I kind of wish he was out of the ball, or he had came out of the ball when he said some sideways shit.
I think it's because of the unsureness. I think that's kind of the doubt that was building inside of him.
I can understand that. I think it would have helped sell the scene better. Personally, that's just my opinion.
Mhm.
It's not.
And it also is a
terrible,
little inconsistent when Ash says Pikachu could have won that, and then when Pikachu follows Ash, he goes, "I should have got Squirtle." Like, what the fuck? You just said Pikachu could have let the fucking
Yeah,
fight.
that's what made it feel like, oh, well, we need him to be by himself for this nightmare to happen. So, damn it, Pikachu's still here. Well, he has to say something sideways to Pikachu now.
Right.
So it felt like the writers had a goal and didn't know a fluid way to get to that goal. So just kind of, it doesn't feel natural when you watch it. For me, anyway. I'm trying to think of other things that really stuck. The problem is I don't like the whole Caterpie evolution thing. See,
But
the
it
problem
looks
is,
nice.
It's
It
hard.
looks beautiful.
It's very hard for me personally to disconnect the fandom, the Pokemon fandom for me, versus looking at its original film, because the film constantly wants to remind me that we remember about the Generation 1 stuff, and it just takes
You
me out of it.
also have to remember that their target audience was the casuals, and
I
they
understood
actually
that.
did very well. They did very well in a lot of post interviews with when M20 came out in Japan. They had a lot of positivity going, and it's like, well, it's all about the crying and the emotional scenes, and I agree with that. I mean, like I said, this was designed to hook people back in because of the Pokemon Go stuff, and that's what it is. It was basically the buy our toys movie version.
Yeah.
But I would say that they did a decent job in getting people interested in the Pokemon again, even though it's not the smoothest plot in the world. But I think they did accomplish what they wanted to accomplish at the Japanese box office, and to be fair, also in the American box office as well. Even though it was
because it was in I'm saying it was in theaters, but people showed
like
up.
I said, this was like the American movie revival for Pokemon.
Yeah, pretty
pretty
much.
much, yeah.
Yeah. One thing if we are still on the positive side of this movie, I will say
Didn't
Production.
Didn't feel like it
Yeah.
from what I was saying. But go
So,
ahead.
sorry, I think a positive wound up turning into a negative, which happens. One of the positive things, if I do want to jump back on that, I did like the idea of the Rainbow Wing getting corrupted, like the idea that it can get corrupted. I like that only because it's not out of nowhere. Sorrel reads a book on it. They actually take the time for Sorrel to go in there and read a book, and it helps his character because he's a lot more than just, I'm here to help your Pokemon
Yeah,
get
he has
better.
some knowledge.
Yeah, and tell you where to go. Like, he's actually a legitimate this is the first time I've ever seen anyone say they're going to be a Pokemon researcher and legitimately do some stuff that shows that they're a researcher. He's researching on Pokemon. Because every other time in the Pokemon anime, and Gen 1's the biggest defender of this, they'll say, I'm a Pokemon researcher. Well, what does that entail? What do you
What does
do?
that mean?
What the fuck do you do, Tracy? What the fuck do you do?
Look at that positivity, guys.
But sorry. But Sorrel actually is in the library doing research on the Pokemon. I like that. That's how you do it. He didn't have to have that scene. We could have just like got the Rainbow Wing to turn evil or whatever. It gets corrupted, Darkheart, but he actually explains in the book that he's reading that happens. So I do like the attention to detail there. I kind of wish if we had to erase anything, I wish we could erase Team Rocket moments and replace them with Verity and Sorrel moments. 30-second moments that could, got us to
utilize well.
Yeah, utilize to their character. They're new characters, so they would have got. And if you have to put Team Rocket in, have them be like hitting Easter eggs in the background, just sort of like looking over a bush.
No, just regular Team Rocket. Just regular Team Rocket.
Yeah, like just have them looking over a bush, have them in a background somewhere, have them like, oh, if you pause here, you can see Jesse's hair behind a tree or some shit. I don't know. But I feel like that would have been a lot better use of this movie's time. But I do like that they did at least try to develop these characters. Like, I actually feel like Verity and Sorrow could have held their own in an actual full-blown series of Pokemon because of this movie. Because they're not. A lot of people in America mostly got upset that Misty and Brock weren't going to be in the movie, weren't going to be Ash's companions like old times. But they did do enough with Sorrel and Verity to make me at least accept the idea that they'll be his companions for this movie.
Well, I mean, yeah, their personalities, like I said, match up well with who Ash is. So I think it's a competent match, I would say the least.
That's true. Yes.
Roblox. Weird.
Roblox. Oh no,
we're terrible.
But is there anything else we wanted to? Are we going to discuss the talking Pikachu?
Yeah,
might as well.
Might as well, because I don't.
Sorry, I sort of erased that from my mind.
It was controversial because a lot of audience members got weird about it.
And it's
well,
funny
specifically in the U.S.
Yeah, in America.
Outside of Japan.
Yeah, in America, they were tripping off of it.
It's weird because he's about to die. What the hell was that noise? Oh, that was me getting something.
That was Pikachu talking.
No, that was lightning.
No, it's lightning.
But no,
it didn't bug me as much, actually.
Yeah, in retrospect, I don't really get, like, after watching it, I kind of don't give a shit because when you realize that, Ash was about to die, it kind of made sense to me. He was having a near-death experience, and he already had kind of a deeper connection with Pikachu to begin with. That sequence doesn't bother me because it wasn't like he was talking the whole movie or they were hinting it through the movie. He just talked in that one scene because Ash almost died. Well, actually, he was about to die. I say almost because he still died. I don't really give a shit about that, honestly.
Yeah, I don't. I feel like American audiences were very, when it comes to things like that, I guess people just trip. I don't.
No. Trip is in black and white. Come on, man.
Oh, goodness. I mean, like, it's just the audience.
Yeah, don't you get it? He's from the boonies.
So what?
Wow.
Because it's so weird because the next movie America ends up getting is Detective Pikachu, and Pikachu talks in the entire movie. But there's a reason for it's plot related. Whereas in this one, it's just like, I don't care that Pikachu.
Well, you're wrong again because M21 did come out here, so ding. But.
Oh, yeah. I mean, but the next, Detective Pikachu got more in America than The Power of Us did in America. Like, I'm sure that's the case because it was advertised better. Detective Pikachu got commercials out the wazoo. Power of Us, I think, only got like one thing.
Yeah, but that's because it was special.
Yeah, but I'm saying like the next time that a major, large number of American audience would see Pikachu again is ironically enough when it's talking in Detective Pikachu. I mean, obviously there's the dedicated fans like us who watch Power of Us, but um, the talking thing, I think like most audience in the West just sort of overreacted, so it wasn't really worth it, right?
I still think it was a nice little thing.
Yeah, like I said, I think it was okay. I get it. Ash was gonna, like Terrell said, Ash was gonna die. So if anything, that's acceptable to me.
Yeah, people had to like it was like a major point in the film. It's not. It's literally just a moment. It's a moment, and it goes away as soon as it's done. Like that's it. Like I can't get mad at it when it doesn't. It's not as mad or concerned as people got about it, considering it doesn't play that much of a role in the film at all.
I still remember when I was when I was up in Edmonton for that, and yeah, the people over at West Edmonton Mall, that movie theater, that was a good reaction. I would have liked to see the New York reaction, but
the people in mines were just. I heard a little bit of laughing. I heard some were just like,
Ryan, did people do that? That's fucked up.
Yeah, people kind of laughed a little bit. And then some were just like, interesting.
Like they were very confused. The only thing I don't care for is that they didn't. It's obviously Pikachu's a boy, but for some reason that voice is way too high pitched for its own good.
Mm-hmm.
I know
it's a tiny mouse, and I don't know. It just
I get it. It's just Also, that's fucked up, Orion, and people laughing at Max in the credits. That's fucked up.
Booing.
Wait, TSS, help me out. In the Japan version, does what's Pikachu's voice actress name?
Ikue Otani. Yes, she does.
She talks?
Yes, she talks.
Good. All right, good. That's all I wanted.
You just want to hear her voice more. That's what it is.
Well, no, not just that. Why would you have another voice actor for that part? That make no damn sense. Just have her be Pikachu talking.
Wait, who voices Pikachu in the dub then?
Nope, the same person. They just recycle her
stuff. What?
They use the Pikachu's voice in English is the same one.
No, I'm talking about when
it's not.
When he speaks.
What?
No, when it speaks, no.
Oh no, not when it speaks.
That's
I'm talking about.
That's what I'm
Oh,
talking
you're
about.
talking about the Pika Pikas.
Yes.
I know that.
Yeah, that's
what I'm talking about.
We're talking about the Pikachu scene. Of course.
Okay, Katie Bristol, Orange Sword answered you.
Okay, that's what I'm asking.
Okay.
Damn.
But no, it's Katie Bristol.
Well, thanks, Orion, not Tyrone, because Tyrone knows what the fuck he's talking about.
What the hell?
I asked you one question, you were like, I don't get it.
No, we misconduct. When you say who does Pikachu's voice, that could mean who does Pikachu's voice in that scene.
Yeah, but we were talking about Ikue Otani at that specific time.
Yeah, and when you brought up Ikue Otani, when he said who voices Pikachu, I was like, he just said it.
No, but the whole conversation was based around the scene.
Right,
yes.
I got that after you said that,
right,
like you clarified it.
Just move on. It's fine. The point is, the scene's fine.
Yeah,
I don't have a problem.
Yeah, it's fine. It's fine. It doesn't hurt the movie at all.
Yeah, I don't see any problems with it.
Have a nice day.
Oh, where'd you break a glass? Is that what that is?
Yep. He dropped the mic.
That was my interpretation of the scene.
That works.
What you have to show at the end of this.
Yeah, but I can tell a lot of love was put into this movie in terms of like even the credits. Like KG, I know you said no Gen 6 Pokemon to reference, but at the credits, I think they referenced some Gen 6 stuff.
I meant the song.
Oh, in the song.
See, you just fucking up everything today.
Wait, no, in the movie I said they make a reference to every Pokemon in
when we were talking about the songs.
So they don't have any Kalos songs.
What I'm aware of, no.
That sucks. Oh well.
They have Kanto, they have Hoenn, Sinnoh, Unova, and I don't think there's a song from Alola.
No.
So,
yeah, probably because Alola was too new.
Yeah.
Yeah, so.
But,
at least from what I'm remembering from the top of my head.
Yeah.
No, actually, no. I think Ho-Oh probably had some Johto song or something of that.
Yeah, it kind of had to.
But
okay, that's it.
What else left is
We
there to
didn't.
talk about?
We didn't talk about Ho-Oh himself, but there's not really much to.
I mean, it's a
Who?
he's a hoe.
Wow.
He's a
Ho-Oh.
hoe. Oh, he's a hoe.
Alright, chill
Oh,
out.
He was
I mean-
He was a plot device.
I'm
No.
sad because they could have done something so special with the
You know,
bird. man.
for his
they
first
should
movie.
have
that's
had
not
him
great.
talk, KG. He should have talked.
No, the song.
And
I was about to say the
Alright, so
feather.
King,
The feather
you
But
can
has
go
it
time out.
restored.
alone will not restore the harmony.
You got
Alright,
it.
so King, put on some pants.
Oh my god.
It should have been by the same voice actor too, both in the original and in the dub.
Yeah, and then,
in the original, it should have been his voice. That would have made shit hilarious. Be like, what the
I have failed.
Telepathy.
Oh no.
God damn. Why do I know so much from movie 2000?
You know
Because
too
it's
much.
a good
'cause it's a
movie.
You
good
know
ass
too
film.
much in general. Also, the older films stick with us the longest. I mean, that's just be real.
Yeah, that's
For
true.
good reasons.
Yeah. Except for movie 4. Movie 4 can read a dick.
It's sad.
Movie
Yeah, like
shouldn't even exist.
Mewtwo Returns isn't even like technically a film, but I remember some shit from that one. Like Misty and Brock are tripping on how good the water is, and Ash is like tastes like something.
Fry pan.
Yeah, and then to Ash is like tastes like something's been swimming in it.
Those were some
I
great
gotta
lines.
remember. I gotta remember what the original line was, but yeah.
Yeah.
yeah. We'll look that
No,
up.
I think he said it tastes like normal water.
Yeah, I think so.
Oh,
Yeah,
that
that
would be,
sounds.
yeah, that makes like the most sense to me.
But 4Kids always does something to make it like way funnier than it should have been.
Tyrone's easily entertain kids. Just remember.
Yeah.
4Kids did a good job back then when they cared, when they gave a shit.
Well, within reason.
Yeah, when it came with the Pokemon, they gave a shit.
Well, that's because it made money.
Yeah.
That's usually
Yep.
that's usually
But,
how it goes. But I guess if there's nothing else, you want to just get into scores, or we have anything else? Because we actually tackled a lot of the stuff.
We actually tackled everybody. I mean, we
Yeah.
talked about the two side characters. Also, I did like I think Chocotan actually played Joy in this movie.
Really?
Yes. Yes. Chocotan actually did Joy in this movie because she was part of it.
Okay then.
Cool.
I guess we'll just get into scores. You know what? TSS is the man with the plan, so he gets to give his score first.
Okay. All right, because you know I love my decimals. I'm gonna give this one an 8.675 out of 10.
Woo!
Now, I know there's a lot of negatives. I know there's a lot of negatives here, but I actually enjoyed this one better than Dayancy, just by a little bit. I think for a movie that was an anniversary movie, they did a decent job, and the side characters are different enough where they felt like they weren't exactly the same. Even though I'd say you know they have a lot of very interesting traits that are calling back, but not exactly the same. That's what it is. You know, different sequences of actions that happen. I mean, the whole thing is the alternate universe started with the rainbow wing drop, and that starts the whole completely separate timeline. Yes, yeah, of course. As I mentioned before, some of the plot points are up to the viewer to decide what the hell happened or put all the pieces together, which I know a lot of people don't like, but I can give that one a pass. But overall, and also to use specific plot points, to have those moments where people who haven't watched Pokemon in a long time, they'll go, "Oh yeah, I remember that. Oh yeah, I remember that. Oh yeah, it's all that stuff." And that's what their goal was with that. But even after watching it 2 additional times, I still feel the same about it. I did, like I said, I loved that whole dream sequence. It's one of the most beautifully animated and dark moments of the entire movie franchise. Really, to have everything in black and white, just like monotone color and just completely full of like doubt and gloom, and then to have, you know, Pikachu appear again, and then all of a sudden you have that scene where it's like all blasting full of colors. and not to mention, yeah, the music. I mean, yeah, they had to. I mean, yeah, Miyazaki had to redo it because of had to do it because Sony Entertainment, but his reorchestrations, really good. I liked the sound fonts that he used in this movie, and just the overall vibes of it. Yeah, Marshadow is pretty much shoehorned in because we have to do
Mythical
something.
Pokemon. Buy the mythical Pokemon only in
No,
the
it's
video
like
game.
it's like give us an excuse to go and put it into Gen 7 game.
You can
That's pretty much
download
what it is.
Marshadow on Pokemon Ultra Sun and Ultra Moon.
Pretty much what it is. Well,
Boo.
it would have been
Buy the
it would've been
game,
Sun and
please.
Moon.
Buy
It would've
the
been Sun and
game.
Moon.
Sun and Moon. I'm sorry, you're right.
Buy
You're
the
right. You're
game.
right.
Yeah, it would have been
Please
Sun
buy
and
the
Moon
game.
back then.
Yeah.
Buy the
Now
goddamn
with that-
game.
now and then of course Oracion, as KG said, the credit scene, amazing. The post credit stuff, like I said, it's just a nice movie overall. I still enjoy it despite all of the shortcomings. 8.675.
All right. Tyrone.
Okay, so I have been known to be the pretty negative one in this one, and it's for good reason. I respect everyone's opinions, and I love the fact that we have different opinions. We grow as people when we have them. Looking at this movie, I'm not saying that this movie is bad. It has all the pieces of a good movie. It's just when you combine them all together, none of them last long enough to double down on it. Maybe if the movie was a bit longer, maybe that would have helped it. But I will say this movie looks beautiful. It's one of the most pleasing Pokemon movies I've seen in a while. The colors are beautifully used. Every environment pops. The characters are noticeable, even if they're like far away or close up. Every aesthetically, it's a very pleasing movie, and I'm sure it would have been increased 100 times if I had watched the sub because of the score. It's just those downsides are plot-related downsides, and you can't ignore that when you're watching a movie for an hour and 30 minutes. So with that said, I'm going to give the movie a solid 6. It's above average, but there's a lot of things running through it, and I know it's because it's an anniversary generation movie, but at the same time, they focus so much on this big plot of Ho-Oh, but they're doing a lot of callbacks to sacrifice for it. So I'm gonna give the movie a solid 6.
Okay. Kevin.
Kevin, score
What's
the
up?
movie.
Give your score, you drunk.
What are you doing right now?
You
Oh,
drunk
no.
bastard.
What's up, bro?
That's a little uncalled for, Tyrone. You can get a shot.
All right, so I'm
Oh, no. You're in tacos again, aren't you?
He
No, I
hates
can't.
tacos.
He's in tacos. He's in the
Even though tacos are very ambiguous food,
the
so
taco and the burritos.
99% of the world eats it.
you can take a tortilla.
99%.
You can take a tortilla.
I'm that
and
1%, I guess.
You can take a regular hard
Yeah,
shell tortilla, put
unfortunately.
anything into it, and that'll be a taco.
But in reality, though, I'm gonna give this film a solid 8. I had a good time with this film. I had a lot of fun watching the stories of Ash and friends, of course, in this alternate universe. So therefore, it's a more, as we mentioned before, I'm taking it as a different sideline. It's not going to connect with anything whatsoever from any of the films before, despite us referencing it every now and then. The score is fantastic. The voice acting is some of the best. I heard Rika actually had to kind of tweak up her voice to specifically do Satoshi
That's right.
this time around, because they wanted it to sound as close or as faithful to the original from back in the first premiere of the Pokemon anime series. So she did an amazing job with this one here with that performance. I think voice-wise, everybody was stellar, both in the dub and in the sub version.
It's actually I want to butt in one more thing.
Go right ahead.
This is probably the best Saranada Chenny performance.
Yeah, I can agree with that.
Yeah, true.
I don't like the lines she has, but she delivers them well.
I wouldn't say this is the best, but I would say this is the start of her. Because movie 21, when we get to that, is I'm gonna have a lot in regards to say.
Like
for,
I remember, she goes, I'm rambunctious and big-hearted, and I'm just like, ugh.
I hate that fucking line. I hate that goddamn line.
But
Yeah.
yeah.
To me personally, Veronica Taylor, I think alternate universe is where she began to improve dramatically, and I absolutely love her performance. So overall, everything about the film I had with this music, visuals, acting, performance was great. The only thing that's really holding it down for me are certain plots and even some subplots that never really get any answers towards, and it's kind of giving me some Illuminati phases of back in the X and Y days where it's just unanswered and you just kind of have to speculate yourself as the viewer, and it's like, I don't want that. I want a complete storyline for this film.
Right.
So yeah, that's my take on it. I think that people can watch it either dub or sub, but honestly, in my opinion, if you are to ever watch this film, I definitely recommend trying to look for the nostalgia mix. Basically, it's the dub voice acting with the Japanese score, and it's probably the best of both worlds in that one, just fused into something that I think is going to please any fan, no matter what side you're on. So that's going to be my take on this.
Okay. I'm going to go next, and then Rich is going to end this off because Richie's the big man, and I think he's earned it. So I think I was sitting here thinking about it. I think I'm going to go with a 6.5, a 6.5. Because I like decimals too. It's one of those films that I would say it's all right. It's for me, it's a very kind of one and done kind of film. Like, there are Pokemon films that I will always go back and rewatch because I like them so much. To me, this is not one of those films. I think it's fine. I think it's a fine ride when I'm watching it, and it's fine. But there's nothing that ever sticks out. Also, someone's following, and I don't really want to say the name. I'm going to say the name. Big Cox Asian. Or as in. No words, anyway. Asian. I'm going
Caucasians.
Caucasian.
Caucasian.
Oh, God. Damn it.
That's a bad pun.
They spelled it wrong, but it's Caucasian. Yeah.
Damn it!
But thank you for following, though, and the Collector 001.
Damn, a bunch of another followers. Collector 001.
Yeah.
Jesus Christ. Anywho, damn, the notification just went off in my ear.
Also, that username, though.
Yeah, Caucasian.
So is he a big Caucasian or is he a big Caucasian?
Caucasian.
He could be a big Caucasian, too.
Moving on.
That just sometimes
Moving on with this thing. Yeah, editing? What's that?
I'm going to jail, folks. Luckily, I don't monetize on the anime channel, so it's fine. Anywho,
Okay.
I like the movie for what it is. I think it has a lot of cool ideas, but I think it has really poor execution for a good chunk of them. I wish it had just. I think it was a lot of missed potential. I think that's my biggest criticism of this film is. This film could have been better to me, and it's not, and it bums me out. And on that note, I'm gonna go take a nap because Rich is gonna take 2 hours to give his review. Richie, go for it. I'm putting my pillow down. I'm gonna grab.
You know, the one thing I gotta find hilarious is that joke hasn't been relevant to movie 10, but whatever.
That's not true.
Well, always the 10th anniversary of that, then. So
Richie,
he's gonna
don't get distracted. Go.
7.5
Not
for
bad.
me. I really like the production. I really like the way it looks.
Yeah, not bad.
The characters, well, specifically the other two. That's not Ash. That I loved as well because it complements Ash, who he was, which I know obviously is not very hard to do because it's not hard to replicate Ash's personality. But they mesh up pretty well for just being new characters. Although I kind of wish they were a bit more involved. The music was great as always. Great to hear classic themes remixed in the 2017, the 2017 year of when this movie came out.
I believe it was.
And from there, it's a pretty decent film. Although it did try to juggle a whole lot of shit, and like I said, some of it turned out okay, and some of it turned out to be kind of confusing. Like Mars Shadow, I'm a firm believer that this movie could have just literally happened without Mars Shadow. And also Team Rocket unnecessary being there, but I don't think that's really a problem. I think that's the least of my concerns. Pikachu talking was a little bit weird, and of course America has to make shit controversial when it doesn't really need to be, so we should be used to that. But overall, 7.5 movie. I think it has a pretty damn good replay value, or rewatch value.
Right.
So if you see it in like your TV guide, I say go watch it. It's a pretty good film. You won't, if you watch English dub, you won't get the same nostalgia feeling. That's why I recommend you go watch the Japanese if you're able to find it somewhere online, which I know there's a link for. But other than that, 7.5.
7.5.
That was a good nap. I feel refreshed. Ugh.
God damn it.
I feel refreshed.
After Richie, refresh. No.
Let's.
The CW.
But with all that being said, let me move this camera so that I can see me. That'd be good. Yeah. Damn it, that's too low.
Why do you have the pose like draw me like one of your French girl pose going on right there?
It wasn't intentional, but I wanted to get my joke across, and I had to dedicate myself to the joke.
Okay.
But with all that being, also, if you want to draw me like one of your French girls, I am not opposed to it. Just no nudes, please. That's all.
No nudes.
Yeah, no
But
nudes.
lewds. No.
No nudes, no nudes.
Send nudes, sends noodles.
No. Oh, God. That's illegal, Tyrone. That's not illegal. It's not illegal. Anyways, next up is our last movie that's currently out in English and in Japanese.
Yay!
Because technically, movie 22 isn't out in English yet. What it is, but it isn't. It is in terms of the first movie.
Watch the first movie.
Yeah, the first movie is, but not the actual new movie 22. So the next movie is The Power of Us, and what is it in Japanese, TSS?
It is 劇場版ポケットモンスターみんなの物語 or Pocket Monsters, the theatrical presentation. It's everyone's story.
Woo!
Swag. It's called The Power
can't
of Us
wait.
in Japanese and in English, I mean. So yeah, that'll be. I'm not gonna. It should be next week. I don't know.
Yeah.
We'll have to talk about it off air. It's not anything.
Yeah.
Hey, next
point
week
is-
my birthday.
Say what?
Next week's my birthday on the weekend, the day after.
Everyone go preemptively wish Richie a happy birthday and then do it again. You want to sing it, don't
Happy
you?
1 week early birthday.
Hey,
Happy
sing-
birthday from the past.
Oh, from the past. Oh, I see what you're doing.
Yeah, we'll be in the past.
Yeah, I see what you're doing. Everyone go follow Richie and then preemptively spam him with happy birthday for the next week. Actually, Richie's Twitter will be in the description. Tyrone's channel and Twitter will be in the description. TSS's Twitter, KG's Twitter, and YouTube, and Twitch, because he has so many social medias. Will all be in the
I have
description.
those, and I have a Tumblr.
Nah, but that's your girlfriend's Tumblr. It just has your name on it.
That's correct.
Okay. See? I know the information, folks. So if you wanted fun facts about Tyrone, he doesn't manage his Tumblr because he's fucking lazy. Anywho, with all that being said, Power of Us is next. That will be streamed like this one. The playback for this will be uploaded on the anime channel probably in the next few days. Depends on how busy I am and what I'm doing, or if we end up staying up until 6 o'clock in the morning. It all kind of just depends. But with all that being said, thank you, KG. Thank you, TSS. Thank you, Richie. Thank you, Tyrone.
No problem.
For coming and reviewing with me. Because let's be real here. If you guys weren't here, nobody would watch these fucking videos.
Damn.
Hey, listen, listen. You gotta.
Damn.
Listen, you have to humble yourself and recognize that you're better halves of the people you interact with. And so that's what I'm
Alternate
saying.
Universe Terrell is pretty brutal.
I know, right?
I have no words for either of you right now. Well, that being said, this has been the Insane Game Freak. Life's a game. Play to win. And I will catch you guys later. Good night. I'm putting the cover on my head. Bye, guys. Wave. Tell everybody bye.
Wait, they can't see me wave?
Tell them
Clear the
bye.
closing doors, please.
Fuck, I forgot where's the cutoff
Good
button.
night.
There's the cutoff button. Good night, guys.